Courtney Lemmon. We're here in Carmel by the Sea, California. It's a beautiful day. Talking today with Larry Weingarten, who was featured in the New York Times for his award-winning home that he built from the ground up. And it is one of the most energy efficient homes today. It's, as they say, off the grid. And we're going to ask him what that means to him and why the New York Times came out and bothered him about doing a personal interview on his home. Hi, Larry.
Hi.
So tell us and tell everyone who's watching what off the grid means to you.
I was trying to make a home, off the power grid, clearly off the electrical grid. There are a number of different grids we're hooked up to. I'm off of the communications grid. I have my own well. I'm off the water grid.
What else were you featured in?
There's a magazine called Home Energy Magazine. They did a 3-part series on me, on this house, which was fun because they got to go into some detail.
That's great.
There's another organization called Affordable Comfort who has put on the 1,000 Home Challenge, where they're looking for 1,000 homes in the United States and North America to be dramatically more energy efficient, 75 to 90%. And I'm the 13th home to have met that challenge.
Would you like to just kind of touch on, a little bit about your video, The House of Ideas?
I think it can be helpful to people to watch this information because with it they can make their home far more energy efficient, perhaps energy efficient enough so that they can later add in a small solar system and go off grid. I think that it will show them how to make their home more durable too, so there's less upkeep, just basically lowering the overall cost of home ownership and getting a more comfortable, longer-lived home.
And how much did it cost you to go off grid?
Well, my system, because I made the house really efficient to begin with, my solar system only cost about $5,000.
$5,000 to go essentially off grid.
My solar system is only 630 watts. It's about 1/4 the size of what's considered a small solar system. But I was able to do that by making the house really efficient. So these are 4 by 8 foot solar collectors. Those are solar thermal. They have water and vodka running through them. These are what's used for space heating and preheating the water. These are the photovoltaics that power the house. There are 6 105 watt panels. I may be adding more at some point, but this has been powering the house pretty well for some years now. And it's a small system. It's only 1/4 the size of what most people think is small. I'm going to show you where the power storage is and basically how this room was built. You're looking through the roof, which is made out of old double-glazed sliding glass doors. They're tempered glass. They make a really good and strong and long-lived roof. Next to the edge where those green globes are it's vented, just screened, because batteries produce hydrogen gas. You want it to have an easy way out so you don't get an explosive situation. Coming down a little bit, you'll see the inverter. This is what gives the house 120 volts AC. It's a 4,500 watt inverter. It runs off batteries. Going over, we come to the main disconnect switch, which is this big white box, 250 amp breaker. I've got other things hooked up here. This is a well controller. It's got a really smart Grundfos pump that doesn't care what kind of power you feed it. Going down, we get down to the battery storage. These are called L16s. They have capacity 350 amp hours. Those are hydro caps on them, so they don't need water very often. I'm going to go into a lot more detail about these things later, but just briefly. So these are the lines coming over. We've got gas line, this yellow line coming from the propane tank. This big silver thing here, a big stainless thing, is a filter, bag type filter to get any fine sediment out of the well water. Pressure tank. And down here we have the backup generator. It's just a little 3,000 watt generator. I use it strictly for battery charging. And that's all that we need. I don't use that to power the house because the inverter puts out more energy than the generator does.
So if you think about your bills at home that you're paying for electric and gas, that's a big reason why we want to go out and we want to watch your video. We want to learn that.
It's a 2-step process. You start by making your house super efficient, and then you add solar to it as much as you need, and it might not be much. I have a piece of hardy shake, which is what I used to side this house with. It's pretty durable stuff, and I thought I'd like to talk a little bit more about it, how it's made, what it looks like. This is a piece actually that I used behind the walls when I was brazing finned tubes in my house. That suffered through 300 braze joints. But it's pretty strong stuff, cement fiber, and it's really pretty flame resistant. So, so I thought I would, you can see it, it's pretty sturdy, but I thought I'd just take a torch to it, to the back side, and see what happens. Because if you're in a forest fire, if you really want to stop flame, if burning embers land on your house, if they land on this, there's a good chance they're not going to damage your house. So let's see if I can get the torch going. And this is MAP gas. This stuff burns at 3,600 degrees. I did a little looking up, and forest fires burn at about half of that temperature, about 1,500. But I'm going to turn this up and just heat it from the back side. Just curious to see what if anything happens. Not even getting any discoloration yet. MAP gas is good for soldering, for brazing, which is basically welding brass. So pretty high temperature stuff. So we're getting nothing coming through. A burning ember, a burning branch falling against your house is not going to put this kind of stress on the siding. Here's composition shingle. This is a modern piece. This dual thickness kind of modern composition. Composition is basically tar paper with asphalt and then fine rocks on the surface of it. This is considered a better fire rating than wood. Looks like it doesn't really appreciate this kind of heat either. It's all melting. Well, at least it didn't sustain flame for very long. That's better. You can see it was beginning, it's pretty hot still, it was beginning to melt through. This roofing is a composite. What you see working from the top down is aluminized roof coating. That's over roll roofing, and under that is bituthane rubber roofing. The point of this is that if the roof ever starts getting cracks or looking a little worn, I can repaint it with the aluminized roof coating and keep it going. I should never need to put a new roof on as long as I maintain this stuff.
The aluminized roof coating. Now, there's actual pieces of aluminum in there, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
And so that's supposed to reflect?
What it does a really good job of is keeping heat and ultraviolet away from any of the roofing so that it doesn't have opportunity to wear out. It can't even begin to age. If I begin to see cracking or other trouble in this surface, I can repaint it with the more aluminized roof coating and just keep it going. So if we can keep the fire out and hold the house together in an earthquake and keep the wind from ripping the roof off, that's all good stuff.
That is good stuff.
This is a good tool for anyone that wants to figure out what their actual usage is. It's called a kilowatt meter. This is the most current model of it. I like current toys, current gadgets like this. This was $28. So, and they shouldn't be difficult to find, different hardware stores. I'm going to open this up and test this very old-fashioned toaster and test this juicer and just see what they do. So you can see how this thing works. We've unpacked the kilowatt meter and plugged it in. It's reading the voltage in the house now. We're at a little over 121 volts. That's coming off the inverter. pretty steady power. It's pretty consistent. I'm going to switch it over to get to the watt setting, which we're at now. Toaster's plugged in, nice old toaster. And I'll turn this on. So, this is drawing quite a lot of power. We're drawing, what, 1160 some odd watts. That's heating up. This is just direct resistance heating, so the load's going to be pretty consistent as it goes. I'll turn it off now. And that drops back down. I'm going to turn this on, and so our power usage has gone up to about, well, all over town now. As the screen lights up, we're coming up to close to 50 watts. I'll turn this back off. Things like televisions, anything that has a remote control is always drawing power, whether it's turned on or turned off. So that's the benefit of power strips, is you can turn these absolutely off when you want to, which I'll do now. There you go, back to zero. One of the cardinal rules for solar homes is we're told they all have to face south. If you're in North America, if you're in Northern Hemisphere, you have to face your solar home south. I faced mine north, and I control the heating and cooling of it. I control when the sunlight comes in. I didn't want it to be like living inside of a solar collector. The purpose of building a model is so that you can get a good idea of what a house is going to feel like, how light's going to flow through it, how people might flow through it, what their traffic patterns might be, how you can sort of sidestep problems. Homes, we expect to get roughly 50 years from them, sometimes more, and often more, but I designed my home to last 200 years.
200 years. Are the materials that you used, are they more expensive?
When I built my home, the average price per square foot of home construction in my neck of the woods was $250. I built it for $100 a square foot. That's my labor to me is free. It's going to cost someone else more if they can't contribute the time that I did. But the materials it's built with cost a little more, but actually are so much quicker to put together that there's no net increase in cost. So it's a myth that solar homes have to cost more. All the plumbing inside the house uses 3/8-inch PEX tubing. PEX stands for cross-linked polyethylene. It's a really nice material to use. 3/8 is, 3/4 the size of half-inch line, but it holds roughly half the volume. So it's a really efficient way to get water from here up to the point of use. This is more important for the hot plumbing side, where you want the least amount of volume of water in the pipe. That way you get hot water quickly with the least amount of water waste. But it's also really easy to run 3/8-inch lines. It's almost like running wires around the house. Older homes with steel plumbing at some point are going to need to be retrofitted, and small diameter PEX tubing is a good way of going. This is PEX. It stands for cross-linked polyethylene. It's an interesting plastic. It's been used in Europe for over 35 years now. It does not impart any taste to the water. There are two different ways to join PEX. One is with crimp rings, and one is with this expandable ring. An outfit called Wurzbo, used to be called Wurzbo, now it's called Uponor, makes this system. I just thought I'd like to do a quick little demonstration of how this is done, because this is, in a way, so much safer and easier than using a torch. So to do this is half-inch PEX. I just expand one end of it first, slide it over the end of the tubing, and then expand it. They make powered tools as well. I'm using the old-fashioned sort of hand tools. You get it to where it's all the way up there. Hold it like that, just a sec. Once you've done that, you've got seconds to get it in place right on your fitting. And, I don't think I could pull this guy. No, I can't pull this guy off now. This joint is made. So this fitting, by the way, is generally used. You screw it into a wall brass nipple comes out of it with your shutoff valve. This is what would go under sinks, that kind of thing.
Thank you so much, Larry.
A pleasure.
You can get his video today at larryweingarten.com. Thank you so much for watching and joining us.